Chutzpah is a beloved Jewish trait that I like to translate as spiritual audacity. Avraham demonstrates it when challenging God to save the people of Sodom, as we spoke about on Rosh Hashanah, Hashofet kol haaretz lo yaseh mishpat, will the judge of this world not act justly? Nachshon ben Aminadav exhibits it when he steps into the Yam Suf, the sea of reeds, resulting in the famous splitting of the sea. And Miriam demonstrates the same chutzpah when she leads the people in joyful dancing when they reach the other side. One biblical story that reeks of chutzpah, of spiritual audacity, is that of the Meraglim, the 12 spies sent by Moshe to the land of Israel to scout it out. All 12 of them agreed about how beautiful and lush and mesmerizing the promised land was, saying, "We came to the land that you sent us to, and it does indeed flow with milk and honey, and this is its fruit," showing the clusters of giant grapes. Can everyone picture that? The giant grapes. But 10 of them continue, and they add the but. They said, "But, however, the people who inhabit the country are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large." They continue and describe the land negatively as Eretz ochlelet yoshveahi. It is a land that devours its settlers. And they concluded that they cannot conquer it. The other two of the 12, Caleb and Yehoshua, with the ultimate chutzpah, interject and say, "Halo na'aleh, we can do it." It's kind of like from the Water Boy. "Let us by all means go up, and we shall gain possession of it, for we shall surely overcome it." The people, Am Yisrael, go crazy out of fear, and they actually try to stone Caleb and Yehoshua, who are saved in the last moment by God's presence through the cloud of glory. Picture that scene for a moment. Throughout it all, throughout this entire ordeal, Caleb and Yehoshua stand their course and shout, "Tovah haaretz me'od me'od." This land is incredibly good, repeating the word me'od, very, twice for emphasis. Of all of our ancestors who left Egypt, only 2 ultimately made it into the Holy Land. Not Moshe, not Aaron, not Miriam. Those 2 were Caleb and Yehoshua, Caleb and Joshua, the ones who said, "We can do this." Friends, it is so easy to see things as impossible, so easy to give up hope. It is much harder to live with chutzpah, with spiritual audacity. I'm constantly reminded, of course, of Theodore Herzl's Im tiltzu enzo agada. If you will it, it is not a dream. Herzl's famous and chutzpahdik statement turned the trajectory of Jewish history on its head. The audacity to claim alongside others that the Jewish people can reclaim their destiny, not to remain as scapegoats or the pawns of kings, just to merely survive, but to thrive in our historical homeland. Among so many moments of pain and heartbreak over the past 2 years, we have also witnessed some incredible moments of Jewish chutzpah. Call Me Back host Dan Senor, who will be here in Bet Tzedek in November, spoke about Israel rewriting what is possible in reference to the pager attack on Hezbollah leadership last year and the attack of the Iranian nuclear plants this past June. He shared in his podcast that no one ever thought that attacking Iran, gaining control of its airways, let alone building a drone factory within Iran could be possible. No one believed that Israel would have the chutzpah to do this. But hundreds of pilots and Mossad agents, including the female pilot with her long braid sticking out, followed in Caleb and Joshua's footsteps and said, "Alon na'aleh, we must and we will, forever rewriting the history of our people and how war is fought. On June 4th, I was humbled by the incredible opportunity to moderate a conversation between 97-year-old Holocaust survivor Nate Leipzinger and 26-year-old Nova survivor Hila Fakliro, organized by the March of the Living at the Nova exhibit here in Toronto. They both share a love for humanity and the Jewish people and have an inherent spark of spirituality, resiliency, and hope. During Hila's 3-week residency at the Nova exhibit here in Toronto, her apartment building in Tel Aviv was destroyed as an Iranian missile landed nearby. And she is now homeless. She'll find a place. She's living with her mom right now. And I've been checking in on her. And despite her continued suffering and pain, her message is clear. We must dance again, and we must spread light and love. And like Miriam, she has been dancing at every opportunity possible. When I speak of spiritual audacity, there might be no models greater than the hostage families. Week after week, they spoke at rallies and protests and flew around the world to meet with every leader possible, from presidents and prime ministers to the Pope, everyone with the power to help. And throughout it all, they lived with hope. Rachel Goldberg-Polin, Hirsch's mom, has been repeating her mantra, "Hope is not optional," and has ingrained this in my mind. When former hostage Or Levy, who was kidnapped from the same bomb shelter as Hirsch, was finally freed on February 8th of this year after being held captive for 491 days, and after learning that his wife was murdered, and after being reunited with his very young son, he asked to meet with Hirsch's parents, Rachel and John. In their private meeting, he told them that he was reunited with Hirsch for 2 days, beginning on day 52. During their time together, which I'm sure many of us know this story, Hirsch would walk around to all the hostages and ask them, "What is your why?" Hirsch, Zichrono Livracha, taught Ori the line, "He who has a why can bear with any how." He who has a why can bear with any how. This line, a paraphrased quote that Viktor Frankl borrowed from Nietzsche, became Or's mantra, and he believed that repeating these words every day helped him survive. And in March, he tattooed these words to his arm. We witnessed this spiritual audacity when Shir Siegel walked down the aisle accompanied by her parents, Aviva and Keith Siegel, who were both taken hostage from Kfar Aza. She vowed not to get married until she could do it with both of them there. She dared to dream, and hers, unlike the dreams of many, came true. Rabbi Tamar Elad Applebaum, one of my rebbes and teachers and a former Tannenbaum fellow here at Bet Tzedek, leads the Tzion community in Jerusalem. She wears white flowy dresses every Shabbat, just so you can picture her, not just in Yom Kippur, and has spent much of the last 2 years together with her rabbinical students as a spiritual first responder, supporting hostage families and those living the kibbutzim on the Gaza border. Rabbi Tamar has a beautiful teaching on Pirkei Avot 2:18. Rabbi Shimon liked to say, "Be careful reciting the Shema and the Amidah," 2 prayers that we're about to recite. So I hope you take this to heart. Rabbi Shimon says, when you pray, "Al tas tfilatcha keva." Do not treat your prayer as fixed obligation, but as pleas for compassion and mercy. Rav Tamar says, the life of a person of faith is in need of disciplined dreaming, Jews do not engage in divination and fortune-telling. Instead, we map out the futures in our minds and direct our inner selves to go out and build the reality we dreamed of. She concludes that there are 3 elements of prayer. The first, the vow to stand up before God again and again, dare to dream of a healed world. Secondly, the responsibility to keep one's mouth and heart in sync with each other, with one another, as we dream. And the third, the belief in the possibilities of change on both the personal and communal levels. And that's why we're here. So I want to ask you all to rise up as you're able to. And I want to invite us in this moment, inspired by our why, to keep on dreaming about the what is possible beyond our wildest dreams. So just take a moment for yourself to dream. If you want, you can close your eyes. What is our greatest tefillah, our greatest prayer going to be at this moment? Let's not limit our dreams to being just about blowing up Iran's nuclear sites and defeating Hamas for good, though that is absolutely necessary. This can't be the end of our chutzpah and the end of our dreaming. That is just the beginning. Rather, we need to continue dreaming about the possibility of peace for Israel, for Palestinians, and for the whole region. For our children to roam our streets without fear of anti-Semitism or any other kind of violence. And please, God, I pray that the peace deal on the table will go through, that our dear hostages will return home, and that our reservists can be reunited with their families. And when that happens, and only when that happens, Palestinians can begin picking up their lives from the rubble and no longer see Israelis as their enemies. And as I spoke about on Rosh Hashanah, I pray that our broken hearts be softened and healed. Friends, we must wield our chutzpah for creativity and life. And I know that through our prayer, our solidarity, our tzedakah, and our tshuva, we can be partners in Israel's and our world's peaceful future.